Hello, good evening, everyone. We are very happy to have wonderful panelists today. Panchatantra Planet is back with another amazing panel discussion. And this is our 22nd webinar. And you know, Panchatantra Planet is doing a lot of things for the teachers, principals across the country and also abroad. We are bringing in excellent resource people from different parts of the country. And our objective is to enlighten you and also to update you, because updating is very crucial in the current age. Things are changing on a day-to-day basis. How we update ourselves and role model the kids, that is very important. With that objective in mind only, we started Panchatantra Planet and also these webinars. And the duty entrusted with me now is to welcome and introduce today's moderator. That is none other than Mr. Santosh Kanavali. And I know well that there is no need for me to introduce Mr. Santosh Kanavali. He is well known everywhere, especially in the online platform too. He is a panelist and also a resource person for CBSE and also for different types of webinars, training sessions, etc. So he is present over here. Now I will be handing over the platform to Mr. Santosh Kanavali for moderating the session. Thank you. Over to Santosh Kanavali, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Radha. Thank you for that lovely, warm introduction. Thank you to the team of Panchatantra Planet, Binumon, Shaiju. It's a great joy to be back here on Panchatantra Planet as a moderator. Last time I was a panelist, and you have given me the job of a moderator this time. So which means I got to be, the next 90 minutes is my job to keep everyone engaged. So thank you so much, Panchatantra Planet, for giving me this wonderful privilege. I'm truly thankful, and my heart is full of gratitude towards each one of you all. Before I start, I want to, first of all, talk about the great job, the wonderful work done by Panchatantra Planet. I think you need to give these guys a big applause. If you have, you can clap for them. You can, do some fantastic applause, because tremendous, webinars they host every week. It's not only academics, it is, multi-dimensional, something that, encapsulates the complete well-being of a school and the education sector. So hats off to your team, Radha, to each one of you. We are very honored that you create this vibrant, learning platform week after week. You're so creative, so dynamic, that every week you bring out some fresh ideas that everyone is able to take away and put into practice in their various schools. So well done to you, Radha, and your team. It's really wonderful to be here this evening. I'm so glad that I'm with all of you today. A warm welcome to all the participants wherever you are. I do not know how many participants are here today, Radha. I'm sure there are quite a lot of them, and it's such a joy to have you here with us this evening. And you're going to enjoy. You're going to listen to two wonderful people here, Dr. Sarvesh Naidu and Hilary I don't know how to pronounce your name rightly, Hilary, but I'll do my best. All right. It's because these two people come with rich experience in their own areas. It's just not only local, but it is global. So you're going to listen to these wonderful panelists, and you can make notes. And if you have any queries, I'm sure we will, take all your queries at the end of the session. Right. So we are now 1 week away from Teachers' Day in our country. Okay. 1 week away. It's a very special moment in our country when we celebrate this day as Teachers' Day every year. And what timing this wonderful, session is when we just pause and we talk about trends in K-12 leadership, teachers as instructional leaders. I think it's a very apt topic, and it's just the topic for the moment. Sarvesh was just talking to us before we started. He said, I think the best things that has happened to us teachers in this last 1.5 years, and the key word he came up was adaptation. And I think, first of all, to all the teachers and all the educators, whether you're an administrator or whether you're a teacher, first of all, kudos to each one of you for your resilience, for your creativity, for ensuring that learning doesn't stop. I think that's one thing we have, as a teaching community, we have taken it right head on, and we have gone and created a wonderful learning environment. In spite of the obstacles, in spite of the difficulties that are currently there, we all know what the difficulties are. There could be a digital divide. There could be so many problems the children are facing. But yet, as school leaders, as teachers, you all have gone way beyond your calling and done a fantastic job. So well done to each one of you. We are now just 1 year since the NEP was announced. If you remember rightly, 29 July 2020, the National Education Policy came into birth. It came into public domain, and there was a big discussion. Everybody came into, what is this NEP about? And everyone was talking about it. There were debates about it, not only in schools, but on TV channels. The intelligentsia, and everyone were talking about it. Now 1 year is over, and the NEP is gaining momentum, surely gaining momentum. I think the task is really cut out for every one of us now as to how we are going to take India into a global platform with the NEP behind us. The landscape is changing, the NEP is revolutionary, and we hope that this session will throw more light on what we plan to do as teachers, as leaders. There's no doubt about it. I do not know how many of us really believe that teachers are leaders. You are leaders, no doubt about it. There was a survey done, and the survey tells that the effect of teaching in schools, the maximum impact on teaching is created by the teachers. Everybody thought it would be the principal or the management, but no, 40% is there created by the teachers in the classroom. And that's a tremendous percentage. So to you teachers, hats off to you all. And we hope that this sessions, which we're going to have with Dr. Sarvesh and Hilary, they're going to talk about you being catalyst in schools. And Hilary is going to talk about skilling, most important part that India is slowly catching up to, the 21st century skills. And they will take you through it very, very well. Okay. Now, the new education policy also aims to recruit the very best and the brightest who want to enter into the teaching profession. And we hope that today we have got the best people here listening to all of us over here. Let me first introduce to you the first speaker, the first panelist this evening, Dr. Sarvesh Naidu. Dr. Sarvesh Naidu is a very, very, versatile, leader. He has worn various hats. 43 years, his career spanning, given him an international exposure in the IB, ISC, CBSE, the British curricula. He is strong proponent of, he believes of the Howard Gardner's multiple intelligences and emotional intelligence. He feels strongly about these two great works by these two great people, and he believes that if we try to imbibe, that is the kind of stuff in this kind of work taken by Howard Gardner and Daniel Goleman, I think schools will be better places, and every area of school will be covered. He's also shown great leadership and experience by being a member of so many, committees, administrative head, executive director of Pathways, board member of the International Schools of India, board member of Mayo College, committee member of Mayo College Girls School, Ajmer, India, board member of Lawrence School, Sanar. And I mean, he's got everything to be, I think, a rich resource person that he is here today. Dr. Sarvesh, a warm welcome to you on behalf of Panchatantra Planet. And I'm sure the time spent with you will be truly rewarding and very, very fruitful. So my first question to you, I'll be introducing Hilary after I finish off with Dr. Sarvesh. My first question to you is teacher, under the heading of teacher as a curriculum catalyst. I think the word catalyst is a very beautiful word. I picked it up when I learned chemistry, Sarvesh. My teacher taught me what is a catalyst when I was doing the preparation of oxygen. Yeah. But today, definitely, I think teachers are catalysts today in the landscape of that we are changed today, okay? And teachers truly shape the future of our children and the future of our nation. I think we need to, your first question to you is, Sarvesh. 1 minute, Sarvesh, just hold on. Yeah, the question to you is, as teachers, what do you think, how do you think can teachers play a greater role as becoming instructional leaders, and how they can navigate and become change agents in the present scenario? Go ahead, Sarvesh. The question is thrown to you now. Go ahead, please.
Okay. Yes, so thank you, Santosh. First of all, thank you to Team Panchatantra Planet. What a remarkable job you're doing. And even your core team is sitting all over the country, connecting together and driving this forward. So a hearty good evening to all of you, to my fellow panelists, Hilary, and to all the listeners out there, all the participants, whether you're teachers or you're administrators or anything connected with educationists. First of all, since Santosh said I wear many hats, I'm ready to take off all of those hats and bow to all the teachers and all the educationists, because really the kind of adaptation, the kind of adjustment to changes that we have done with no training whatsoever. All the pieces of paper you have neatly filed and put away as your qualifications have actually held very little strength in how you had to function in the last 1.5 years. And so I think hats off to everyone. We've adapted and we've done a remarkable job of it and continue to do so with no certainty about what is going to happen. But I think it's very resilient. And that is why I give a pat on the back to all the educators, because contrary to what people keep saying, that teachers are very fixed, they're not ready for change, they don't like to adapt, school administrators are not ready to do that, the curriculum is not, CBSE is not, IB is not, whatever it is. There's a lot of fixation. And I think we've proven a lot of aspects and mindsets wrong in the last 1.5 years. So congratulations for that. I'm going to continue to focus for a while just on the word catalyst and as teachers, but I'll lead you through a journey, and I will bring Howard Gardner and Daniel Goleman into it. But the quote I came across just as I was browsing through, which caught my attention immediately, was from André Gide, a French writer. And he had said, to quote, "Man cannot discover new oceans unless he has the courage to lose sight of the shore." And it's so relevant, really, if you think of most of the people, new empires, new exploration of the world and everything, they had to leave their shores and they had to go into an unknown territory without ever knowing whether they're going to come back. I think we're very fortunate in education because for me, this quotation itself has a little bit of a thought with what we are doing. Yes, you have to leave the shores. If you don't, you're not going to discover new avenues, new territories. But do you need to lose sight of the shore? Not really, and the shore is not physical or literal. It's a thing in your mind also. So you can carry the shore with you wherever you go. And that's really the most important aspect to keep in mind. I will focus on the new NEP and I'll come back to that. But let me pick up on the word that Santosh had picked up, and that was the word catalyst. And you're quite right. If you look at it, it comes from chemistry. And in chemistry, it's any substance that harnesses the rate of a reaction and increases it. It enhances it without itself being consumed. It doesn't change its property, but it changes the property of others. So we've got to be a little careful about narrowing it down to this catalyst of a teacher, because the teacher will also have to change. Unlike the catalyst in chemistry, you cannot retain your original properties. You can protect them, you can make that your core, but you have to add on to it. So there are other definitions of catalysts. A person or thing that precipitates an event or change. So yes, in that sense, a teacher is the biggest catalyst, as is the curriculum. Another definition comes as something that causes activity between two or more persons or forces. That also fits in very well, because no education is unilateral anymore. There is the teacher and the learner. There is the curriculum and the world out there. There is assessment and there is learning for the sake of learning. There is formative and there's summative. And there's so many other ways. And now suddenly CBSE has also decided to go for MCQs, which has been there in the international curriculum for quite a while. And now CBSE is also going in for that. And I think as I keep talking, I'm actually talking about the NEP in many ways. But let's keep moving on. Another definition which I liked was a person whose enthusiasm and or energy causes others to be more enthusiastic. And I love this one. This is really great. A person whose enthusiasm or energy causes others to be more enthusiastic. And that's really what it is, because it's a dynamic process. Learning is no longer static. It's very dynamic. And as I keep talking, you'll see this is really important. So whether it's a person or a curriculum or a school, yes, the whole aspect of a catalyst is crucial. And the teacher is and will always be at the center of it. But what is the shift that is coming about? I think the shift that's coming out is that the focus of school education, at least, is moving from a teacher to the learner. And this is how the IB has started using the term. It's not an IB term, but it came about. It got coined in the 90s, I think. And then at the turn of the millennium, it picked up pace. And that's the learner agency, which means the learner is the agent. The learner is the person on whom the focus has shifted. So it's no longer the teacher. And that is why I'm sharing three terms with you out here. One is pedagogy, which we use very strongly. And it is getting a little diluted and outdated. We have to move on from pedagogy, because pedagogy comes from peda, children, and leading children is literally what that means in Greek. And so it's very content heavy. It is teacher dominated. And the method and practice of teaching is what the student is dependent on, as is the curriculum. This is the curriculum, this is fixed, this is what you need to do. You cannot adapt, you cannot change anything. But we have to move on from pedagogy. We've even gone past the stage of what we call andragogy. Andragogy is about man, and it comes from this idea of teaching adults. But we've gone past that, what happens in universities. But here, the procedure and the techniques are used in teaching. It is more process-oriented, it is more self-induced, and a lot is left to the learner, as it happens in universities. But we've actually moved on to a new concept. It's not new in terminology, it's new as a concept, but it's coming into the world very frequently now, and that is heutagogy. Okay, and heutagogy is more self-determined, it's student-centered, it's autonomous, it's learner focus on individuals with the individual strengths. It is adapting to the local and the immediate links and skills with the local, but keeping an eye on the global, as Santosh had said. You cannot leave out the global, but you cannot ignore the local either. We're beginning to discover that in our history books. They are being rewritten now after hundreds of years. And the local element is coming in frequently. And it'll be wonderful if the NEP allows that freedom for Kerala history to come in and Cochin history to come in to the classroom as an open thing, not necessarily because NCERT has written it or has not included in the textbooks. And so we really need to balance out, because if we don't, the children will discover it on their own. Honestly, we have no control over their knowledge base anymore. It's just floated out of the window through the net in the last 1.5 years. And so we have to adapt and adjust very quickly. What I mean is that everything we do in the school now, children will want to know why. Why am I learning it? Why am I studying this? What sense does it make? How is it relevant to us? And you have to be able to take that aspect. Very quickly, I'm linking the teacher's role also to Bloom's taxonomy. Now, in Bloom's taxonomy, 6 words came up: from remembering to understanding to applying, analyzing, evaluating, and then the 6th one, which is most important, is creating. And now in Bloom's taxonomy, when you attach the functional verbs to it, you'll find that in the remembering, the first one, which has been more on a form of assessment and understanding and learning, it's been more of copying, defining, finding, listening, Googling, memorizing, duplicating, regurgitating, and so on and so forth. Very passive activities. Now, in the creating, the defining verbs have become a lot more dynamic. Blogging, adapting, animating, collaborating, composing, programming, simulating, solving, facilitating. You know, the ownership is shifting to the student. You ask the student, what relevance do you see in this? The student is not isolated. First of all, you have to focus on the fact that every student is an individual and has a lot of intelligence. It is the way we assess them that we sideline them into not being competent. But in their own sense, they're very competent. And we have to also recognize that learning happens a lot in togetherness, in teamwork, in pair work and things. This is where I bring in Howard Gardner. Since Santosh referred, yes, I'm a great fan of Howard Gardner. I think he shaped most of my career ever since I became aware of Howard Gardner, which was very much after I'd gotten into IB. I've done higher ed school, I've done the 3 UWCs and whatever, and then I came across Howard Gardner more by default than anything else when I was doing my doctorate. And you know, Howard Gardner said that we have multiple intelligences. All of us have that. If you look at our CVs, there's hardly anyone who's just been unilateral in one subject or one territory. We all developed our skills. So whether we are kinesthetic or maths logical or interpersonal or intrapersonal or verbal linguistic, naturalistic, visual spatial, musical, rhythmic. But our assessment is largely verbal and written. Not even verbal, it's largely written. And a bit of mathematical and logical involved. So what happens? How much does a language teacher give as a score if a poem has been put into recitation, into music and rhythm? We don't. We say, don't waste the time of the class. Just narrate the poem. And we don't let the children express according to their personal skills. And this is where what happens is that he combined these intelligence with different learning styles. We're not going into details now, but do research Howard Gardner and you'll love it. Because he said that different children learn differently. And you can't have one kind of assessment. I'm again taking you back to the same thing what NEP is saying. They're actually saying all these things. They're saying this in different terminology and things. And very quickly to wrap up my segment here, I think there's Daniel Goleman, who when he came up with quotients, very quickly said the IQ, which has been basis of our assessment most of the time, the intelligence quotient. He pushed it out and he said the emotional quotient. When he wrote about it, people are wondering what emotional quotient, unless you get marks and you get grades, you're not going to get selected for anything. And look at 2021. The marks have gone out of the window. Everyone's getting in the 90s. So really, there's no differentiator between a high achiever and an average achiever. You can't differentiate. How do you differentiate from your emotional quotient? How can you handle the ups and downs in life emotionally? The social quotient. In a world of isolation, how good are you with your social skills? And with the spiritual quotient, when you find no solutions in life, where do you find the solutions from deep down inside you? And the passion quotient, if you're not passionate about what you want to do in life, why are you working in the first place? Just for survival? Just to live a life out? But the younger generations are more passionate about what they want to do. And finally, everyone's seeking the happiness quotient. So there are multiple quotients in our lives. And just the IQ is not really going to help. And Daniel Goleman made everyone aware 25 years ago. And today, they are so true. All right. Unless we can do that, unless that energy of the teacher, that happiness, the joy, the connect, and the feeling, the empathy, all this comes into the classroom and the learners learn about it and they start connecting with it. It's just going to be knowledge. And that's my final discrimination for the moment. Knowledge and wisdom. All right. Most of the time, our education has been knowledge. Data, statistics, memorizing them, without much meaning to how it was relevant to us, and so on. And if you look at two scenarios right now, one is the status in Afghanistan, and one is the India's performance in the third cricket test match in England. Everyone reacts. Okay, everyone reacts very quickly, and they quickly form an opinion. But that's knowledge. Oh, this is this, and oh, that. Oh, numbers, statistics, and whatever. But wisdom is going beyond knowing and understanding. Wisdom is giving you a perspective and an art of judgment for becoming a state of being. You learn to decipher. You learn to analyze. Now, if you're a great cricket fan, you watch what the commentators do. They're hardly commenting on what's happening because you can see it on the screen. All right, you can see it on the screen what the score is in it. They are analyzing. They're giving a perspective. They're giving it a meaning. They're giving a direction. I just wish, as an ardent cricketer myself, I wish this existed in my life when I was a 16-year-old and 18-year-old playing for Rajasthan in the Ranji Trophy. I would have been able to analyze my weaknesses. I would have been able to work on it as myself. So the whole thing is the focus on the learner, on the self, and the development of the self without becoming selfish. And when you look at the NEP, we will come back to it in case it is not touched on. But if you look at the condensed version of the NEP, I think you will find a lot of what I've said has been incorporated and embraced in the NEP. And the beauty of the future is the teachers will be at the center of it. They will be the catalyst. They will. And schools will have the possibility to adapt and adjust with the dexterity. My word of caution, the openness has always been there. We educators have narrowed it down into a comfort zone. Now we need to break out of it and let it open out and put the learner at the center of it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Sarvesh. Thank you. Moving from student-centered to teacher-centered, from pedagogy to andragogy, and moving from rote learning to competence-based learning. Yeah, the landscape is changing. Thank you, Sarvesh, for the wonderful inputs you have given us. We'll come back to you. There'll be questions coming to you later on. I'd like to welcome in our midst Dr. Dhiraj Moratra. Namaste, sir.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Dhiraj. Good evening. We have been waiting for you. Nice to see you.
Oh, sorry, there was a parallel event going on.
No problem, Dhiraj. Welcome to our team. On behalf of Panchatantra and all of us here, a very warm welcome to you. Before I introduce you to the people, I'd like Binu Mohan to say a few words of the upcoming programs. Binu, please go ahead.
Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, with the permission of distinguished panelists and moderator, I would like to introduce our upcoming programs. Panchatantra Planet is organizing so many programs, series of programs. Already Santosh sir rightly mentioned that in the beginning in his introductory speech. Actually, our next program is on 3rd September 2021. The topic is Python for everyone. When we hear about this particular topic, we'll think that this particular program is only for computer teachers, but it's for all teachers. All the teachers, those who are handling different subjects, can integrate Python, this computer language, computer programming language, to their teaching as a part of as a tool. So this program is a very different program. I would like to invite all teachers across the country to join this program, because the resource person is Dr. Achyut Shankaras Nair. He is professor and head of the Department of Computer Science, University of Kerala. He is a multifaceted genius. He presented a lot of papers and projects for Government of India, and he's a legend in the field of education. So definitely it will help to enrich your teaching inside your classrooms, and it will be an added merit to your institution as well. So I request all the teachers kindly block your date on that particular day. Also, all the principals, those who are listening us or viewing this program, we can also recommend your teachers to be a part of that program. Python for Everyone on 3rd September 2021. So our next program, that is a different program. It is based on the current scenario, socio-emotional learning, SEL, in schools. That's on 11th September 2021 at 4:30, the same time. Both the programs are on the same time. This is Mrs. Archana Gaba. She's the principal of Saint Kabir Gurukul, Jalalabad. She's a very famous, renowned psychologist, and she's going to address the concerns of teachers and school administrators in the current scenario. That is, the topic is very closely related to the emotional aspects of learning, SEL, based on the current pandemic scenario. Once again, I remind all the principals and teachers who are viewing this program, 2 dates, that is 3rd September and 11th September. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you, Binamon. Thank you. Looking forward to those very wonderful sessions ahead, Binu. Thank you very much. It's my privilege and honor to welcome the second panelist, Dr. Dhiraj Moratra, in our midst this evening. Dr. Dhiraj is an academic evangelist. Oh, I just love that name, academic evangelist. It's a very, very powerful word, evangelist, the one who goes passionately about their work. He has 30 years of experience behind him, expert in TQM, quality circles, Six Sigma, the 5 S's, the Kaizen, experiential learning, wow, NLP. So it's wonderful to have you here with us, because when you look at all this, we are just looking forward to listen to you from. You have been also in the Limca Book of Records, and you also have done, you're on TEDx, and you're a great motivator, a great speaker. You've done so many training sessions as a master trainer in the CBSE platform. Thank you for joining us this evening. And the topic that you have chosen is very apt, because I think the books you have written so many books. Your website itself is authordhirajmehrotra.com. That's a wonderful, link, author Dhiraj Moratra. So you have authored wonderful books. And one of the books you have authored is how can teachers, navigate this pandemic and become great online teachers. So Dhiraj, my first question to you is, there are many people here who have now for the past 1.5 years trying to, get into this boat of online learning, choppy waters. Some have done some, experimentation. Some have got into some great platforms, learning smart modules. What would you, as a trainer, as a leader, as a wonderful, a person who has done so much of training, what you would like to wish to tell the teachers today, sir, about how can we drive online learning? How do the teachers equip themselves as as an online educator and drive edutech, education in the schools? Over to you, Dhiraj sir.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Santosh. And it's really a great pleasure for me to be there at this platform. Well, when we talk about teachers revamping, we have already had that, in fact, and it happened by default, with the march of time, with 2 years of, corona sufferings. The best part was that our teachers became curators of knowledge. They became directors, producers of wonderful resource. And this came out as with a passion of learning to learn. Their own approach of learning was made possible. Now, what best can we do is that we have already got the platforms. We have already got the scenario now. We are well versed with what's going to happen and how the things are happening. Adopting flipped learning is a priority now. Adopting blended learning is a priority now. So every teacher has to be a curator and has to talk about the online reputation management. The ORM, which I refer to as is a requisite for every individual, whether it's a teacher or a student. When I deliver workshops on the go of developing individual personalities, children tend to Google you before they come to sit in your class. So if you have a Google account, you are at the best, you are at the approach, and you are at the connect. And that for sure, teachers need to look forward to work on their online reputation management. Now, what are the ways through which you can dwell on this is by signing up to the various platforms which allow you to deliver learning, which allow you to explore learning. And the way we have been managing things during Corona time is actually one of the ways of, imparting and exploring the learning. Then the second term which connects to it is the digital body language. Now, digital body language is a perfect way of developing rapport with your students online, and particularly which leads to your online and offline connect further. Digital body language is a reference to all your traits, your likes, your way of doing things while you're online, your way of connecting with people, and referring to that idea. Even I have compiled a book on digital body language as well, which is on Amazon, and referring to the fact that it is the need of the hour to explore your online reputation management. The digital intellect or the digital quotient is a requisite for the teachers to be better teachers than they were yesteryears, than they were yesterday, and they were today. Things need to change. And the new classroom, which we are going to face or encounter with the march of time when the schools reopen from 1st of September, God's grace, everything goes well, safe and sound, the requisite for the new learner will be completely different. Now, that quotient, which is going to be of connect, will certainly make the change. The spectrum in the classroom is of a different quality altogether. We are going to face the newcomers with the new pedagogy. And thanks to CBSE, who has integrated the learning of AI and teaching through AI. Now, even Mr. Modi, our Honorable Prime Minister, has made it open to that link where every individual, can well verse with that 4-hour course of artificial intelligence. And that you're mentioning about Python. So this artificial intelligence is made open. He says that every individual, every Indian should go through that course, because you need to be prepared for the new normal and prepared for the new challenges in life. Not only the teachers, not only the students, but every individual. And I would request everyone to go and visit the academic website of CBSE and hunt for the link, which is free of cost. But of course, you have to dedicate 4 hours into it before you gather your online certificate. So that's the preface. That's the new preface, because the children today, with the march of time, of course, have garnered learning with a requisite of A for Android, B for BlackBerry, and C for Cloud. They don't understand at all the A for Apple and the B for boy and the C for cat methodology. I'm sorry. And for that reason, the teachers need to revamp themselves with the very approach of getting across to that spectrum of connecting with them. We are going to talk about Malalas. We are going to talk about Obamas. We are going to talk about the PS4. We are going to talk about the Olympics, the winners, the losers, and everything, in order to make our classroom smart, connected, and curative. Then we come to our standard of delivery of physics, chemistry, or maths, whatever we are teaching, because that connect and the rapport development is a prime requisite for all the teachers with the march of time, because they're learning. They are used to of learning in their drawing rooms and bedrooms. And for sure, the learning actually happens beyond their comfort level, but they're used to of it. I'm sorry to say that. So we need to generate that he or she, who was earlier there at the comfort level, now to the physical classroom, because people say that if they do something for 21 days, they get in a habit of doing so. Whatever practice you do for 21 days, now they have had so many 21 days. So the standard and the approach and the connect will be a great challenge for the teachers and teaching online has to be a priority. You asked about how they can be connected well. So I want to tell you that I have, with the pandemic in view for the last 2 years, 3 years, I have developed over 400 courses on Udemy. And with that preface, I've connected to over 7 lakh students, all free of cost, with around 180 plus countries. And every teacher today needs a little recognition and an ignition to be online. There are wonderful websites available where teachers can register themselves as an educator. Because when people Google you, these connects help you to explore your connect and the who of you. The who of you is very important. And this is how you get to roll out. Yes, my books are available on author dhirajmoratra.com. That is rightly commented by you. Thank you very much. And I would be happy to answer questions, if any. Thank you. And God bless everybody.
Yeah, thank you, Dhiraj. You have one more question we'll be asking you after some time. So just hold your horses. Wonderful. I got some very wonderful words from you. Digital quotient. I mean, that's the first time I'm coming across the word digital quotient. That's very nice. And then you spoke about recognition, ignition. Oh, wow. These are very wonderful terms. Yes, teachers definitely need to be recognized. But they only need that trigger where they need to, get along and be given the right guidance to show what they can best do well and learn in this digital era. And then you spoke about smart, connected, curated, how we can all be together in this particular, scenario. As teachers, what best we can do. Thank you. We picked up some wonderful key words from you. I'm sure we'll come back to you. The people will. I'm sure the participants are very keen to ask you questions, Dr. Dhiraj. So please hold on. It's my privilege now to introduce the third panelist. The third panelist is a very currently the principal of GEMS Modern Academy at Kochi. She's very creative, resilient, experienced in the UK mainstream, special schools. She has the credit of even designing a school. Wow, that's something amazing, Hilary. That's really wonderful. I mean, if I wish I could be a principal to design a school and design spaces for learning. I mean, that you gain ownership of a school when you do that. She's a member of the Keeping Early Years unique program, and she's done tremendous work during her career. A warm welcome to you, Hilary. We are very happy to have you here on this platform. So you are going to talk about 21st century skills. All these years you have been teaching. I'm sure this 21st century skills has been coming on and on again for the last few years. It has become the buzzword. It has become the mantra of the educators today. Are you a 21st century teacher? Are you a 21st century leader? But let's hear it from you, Hilary. What do you think? How can we inculcate? How can we bring in this kind of skilling among the teachers, Hilary? Over to you, Hilary. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Santosh. And thank you to the first two speakers. I've been listening with great interest and I've learned all sorts of things this evening already. So a big thank you to everybody. I think when you're thinking about skills and what skills do we need to look at, you can't really go far wrong with looking at the World Economic Forum, Education on the Brain. So the WEF, the World Economic Forum, and they've come up with the top 10 skills that they feel that workforces will need by 2025. Again, you can Google it, it's there for everybody to see, but the top 10 skills are, and have been for quite some time, I have to say, analytical thinking and innovation, active learning and learning strategies, complex problem solving, critical thinking and analysis, creativity, originality and initiative, leadership and social influence, technology use, monitoring and control, technology design and programming, resilience, stress tolerance and flexibility, and reasoning, problem solving and ideation. So an awful lot of words thrown at you there. What they have done is put it under 4 main headings of types of skill: problem solving, self-management, working with people, and technology use and development. And all of those 10 will fit into those 4 core areas. So what does that mean for education? Well, it's really important that as educators, both principals and the school management and also teachers, it's really important that we do know what those skills that are going to be needed in the future, what they are. Because if we don't know about them, we're not going to go about it the right way to make sure that we are preparing our children and our students for the world of work later on. So getting to grips with these, I think, is really, really important. And actually having this language in school that's used regularly will help everybody. And we've already heard about the curriculum and pedagogy. And it's the first time I'd heard that word, heutagology. I can't even say it. So I had to Google it while you were talking. Absolutely fascinating. And, you know, we've heard about pedagogy throughout the whole of my 30-odd year career. And it doesn't matter what your pedagogy is. It doesn't matter what your curriculum is. You can still inculcate these skills into your lessons and into the students themselves. And I think one of the things that educators do miss a trick on is with our youngest children. People think that when children are young, that the adults have to do everything for them. But if you think about a baby and what a baby does to get going with their talking and their walking and their exploring, you know, a baby is hardwired to learn. Toddlers are hardwired to learn. And our littlest ones in pre-KG, KG1, KG2, they are still hardwired to learn. And yes, they do learn by direct instruction, but there's a huge amount of learning that goes on through exploration, through hands-on learning, through problem solving. And teachers do need to find a different way to make sure that they provide opportunities for the students to start to address some of these skills. So don't even think that it's something that we need to do for our older students while they're preparing for university, or our next lot of students who are preparing for their exams, or the junior school children who are getting ready to go into senior school. Start with the youngest and look at the curriculum and the opportunities and the pedagogical approach or the heutagogy that we are putting in place for our youngest students, and start there. And teachers should develop a toolbox. Not one method is going to suit all. We've already heard that from Sarvesh in the first place about Howard Gardner. Not one way is going to suit everybody. So teachers need to develop a toolbox. And as school leaders, we need to help them to develop that toolbox. And I'll talk about that a bit later on, hopefully, if you ask me a different question. So having a toolbox that teachers can go to is really, really important, and making sure that you're using the right tool for whatever learning objective that you are wanting to address. There was a bit of a debate. I got involved in a bit of a debate on Twitter last week, and one of my colleagues from the UK was putting across that direct instruction was the best form of teaching. So I did query it and said it depends what your end goal is. Do you want students to just pass their exams? In which case maybe it is. But if we're looking at preparing our students for the world of work, if we're hoping to ensure that they have got these top 10 skills that they're going to need when they go into the world of work or life in general, then surely direct instruction alone won't do that. He actually came back at me and said, and I quote, "We can teach in days what it took Einstein and Newton a lifetime to find out." So my retort to that was, yes, we probably can. We can teach that in days. But if we only teach that in a direct instruction way, as fact, then will we not be missing an opportunity to find the next Einstein and the next Newton. So when we're looking at planning lessons, we need to make sure that we're leaving opportunities for the students to develop these skills. You know, are we giving them an opportunity to solve real life problems? Are we giving them an opportunity to manage themselves and manage their learning? Are we giving them an opportunity to work with other people and all of the skills that requires? And at the moment, I think everybody is making good use of the technology. So I know that we've covered an awful lot there and I've thrown a lot of words at you, but please do look at the World Economic Forum. And teachers, if we've got teachers in here tonight, have a look through that list and just see where you can weave it into your lessons, providing time to make sure that you give the children opportunities to develop these skills. I'll leave it there because I think I'm going to have another chance to speak a bit later about how we as school leaders can help to develop that. But I'll give it back to you now, Santosh. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Hilary. Thank you so much. Toolbox, yes, definitely the teachers need to look at the toolbox as they teach as to how we can skill our children as we teach them. And as you said, those very important skills, the OCED put up the 25 skills which are required for future. I'm sure there's a lot to take away from there. I'm sure as you progress and as you answer the next question, and there's a question answer session, you will be able to give more light as we get to understand how important it is that 21st century skills are going to drive the NEP forward. And that's one of the strong areas where we as educators, as teachers, need to be very, very focused upon. Right. Thank you, Hilary. Thank you for that wonderful insight. Sarvesh, the next question to you, Sarvesh.
Yeah.
We spoke about school education. You spoke about how we can do that. But now, is it only the schools that need to pull this off, or will the higher education institutions also need to get into the act and also be catalysts along with schools? Over to you, Sarvesh.
Yeah, thank you for that, Santosh. First of all, no, we had such wonderfully diverse set of views from Hilary and Dhiraj. And from what I was saying, that I think you're getting a nice mix and match of various approaches. And I think higher education is one of those. I've always maintained, that I think India has distanced higher education so much from school education that sometimes you don't even know why you're going into universities, because a lot of what you've done in schools has very little acceptance or correlation. When we think of Delhi University in the 60s and 70s, when I was in school and going into college, I could have been picked up by any college in Delhi University because of my sports and cricket and my sports talent, just on my sports skills. Today, forget about all that. Forget about your skills. You could be a brilliant musician, theater, sports, anything. If you don't get over 18 or over 95, 96%, you're not even looked at. So what is higher education looking at? You know, somewhere I was listening to one of the talk shows the other day, and they said even the best of the higher education institutions, not just in India, but overseas, what do? They try and select the cream, and from the cream, they try and make a more filtered down cream. But there's very little scope for acceptance for people who have skills in diverse areas, who have a diverse portfolio. For innovation, for creativity, for the mavericks, universities have no place in India. So it's an elimination rather than a selection. So are we stuck? Mercifully, the NEP has almost the equal number of pages dedicated to higher education as it has to school education and to the early learning. So for once, they have actually opened the territory out and addressed it comprehensively. It's not just K-12 talk anymore, you know. But certainly the higher education institutions have a huge role to play, and they will have to adapt. I mean, why should there be a gap between what the schools are doing? Why should schools be expected to adapt and adjust? And then everyone's thrown into the melting pot all over again, and everyone has to go through the grind of having to sit for competitive exams and do what happens in Kota and various other centers in the country, leading kids to commit suicide even before they tested themselves out at the end of schooling and into college. Why? It's not because they don't think they're competent. It's just that they feel this is hopeless. They're not even looking at me for what I'm good in. And surely, college life is not just about academics and degrees. It's about skills. It's about talent. It's about your persona development, about how you're going to fit into the world out there. I love that quotient that I think Dhiraj had added about digital quotient, but it's an add to the various quotients that already exist. Let me just encapture very quickly this question of yours, Santosh, that be it higher education or be it school, the NEP is not to be faulted now in many ways. There are lots of gaps, no doubt, but it's come a lot closer to actually addressing the problem. But it cannot just be the schools. The colleges also have to, universities also have to adapt, and they have to completely change the thing. Remember all that debate that went on in 2014-15 about a 4-year cycle in Delhi University, and it was rejected and thrown out. Professor Dinesh Singh was the vice chancellor then. Now the NEP is encouraging it again and talking about a 4-year program. It's come back full circle. And remember the time when people like me were going out of school, we were just 16. We were barely, we were in grade 11 and barely 16, and we were into college and things. Now it's ensuring that there's an additional year. They've created the compartments of the 5+3 + 3 + 4 and all. But universities need to do something similar. They need to give you an option. They need to open out into liberal arts. But NEP is doing that. Will the universities? Let me capture it in 30 seconds and over to the next speaker. What is the NEP talking about? It's talking about celebrating differences. Universities need to do the same thing. It's about learning outcomes. Universities need to do the same thing. They need to be able to measure it more openly than the way they do right now. It is an opportunity to be able to demonstrate, not just theorize, regurgitate, learn, and reproduce. Now, the universities don't. Why is it only that science and technology keeps looking at those aspects, or engineering and so on? That's why we moved away from STEM to STREAM. We brought reading into it, and we brought A for art into it. So that you move and giving 66% of humanity leads out towards humanities. And in schools, we are shy to offer humanities. And in universities, there's hardly any place in India you can go to and feel proud of it. Then I've gone through humanities. I've made my career as a teacher of English for 43 years and been very proud, and I've been the world over. And I've gone through a government college, not even a premium college in India, and I'm very proud of it. But those were days when you were recognized. Today, there's no opportunity for people like me if I were to go through college all over again. So yes, they need to do it. I think if you look at this, I won't go through the list of NEP unless we come back to it, but a lot of what is being said is what all three of us as speakers have said today, and what Santosh you have captured. NEP is there. It's saying, go and grab the opportunity. Take the nation forward. It is now up to the human mind, not to artificial intelligence, but to the human mind to translate it into success. And higher education has as much of a responsibility as school education there.
Yes. Thank you, Sarvesh. That is Carpe Diem, seize the day. Wow, excellent. I think we need to have a change of mindset as we take it forward. Definitely bridging schooling, higher studies need to come quickly, because otherwise, as you said, our generation will be a lost generation. Their dreams that they have in schools will all go to dust when you don't, scaffold them, take them, handhold them, and take them where they want to go.
Yeah. I would say that I am more optimistic with this younger generation. They won't feel lost. They will just reject higher education. They'll bypass it. They'll just bypass it and create careers of their own.
Yes, we'll have more entrepreneurs in the country. Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Sarvesh. Dhiraj ji, next question to you, Dhiraj ji. how would you, what advice would you give teachers to live digital footprints as they go about their daily classes today? Digital footprints.
Well, very true. As I talked about on my last opportunity as well, that today the teachers need to reflect the value of WWW as whatever, whenever, wherever. And that independence of learning and teaching has to rule the world now, not only the classroom. And that aspect of learning, as rightly talked about by Madam Hillary, that we need to have the toolkit for sure. And this toolkit for the teachers has to revive itself. And teachers need to sort out their tools and keep it as a part and parcel to their markers replacement in their attribute of cloud. The teachers called for sure post-COVID, the toolkit has to have a priority to reflect the ideas to teaching and their new pace of learning. Well, post-COVID, of course, there has to be a new me and new you and the new learner. The idea is towards making learning a priority for the kids in the VUCA world. Let me tell you, VUCA, which talks about the volatile, the uncertain, above all, the ambiguous, complex world we are facing in. What will happen tomorrow? Nobody knows. Third wave, fourth wave, no wave. I wish and pray. But certainly we need to prepare ourselves, for the uncertainty which ideates, I repeat, which ideates the learning with a new element within classrooms. And for sure, the expertise has to come up with the very partnering of harvesting excellence in the classroom learning process by being a learner rather than a teacher. By being a learner, because learning to learn should be a hobby rather than an occasional occurrence. And the more we learn, my dear friends, the more we earn in terms of honor, recognition, and pride. And that's my view. That's my TED Talk also, the topic there. People can watch on the YouTube just in case they're keen. So I believe in learning to learn. And for sure, the uncertainty in the VUCA world, which is an abbreviation, as I referred, of a volatile world, an uncertain world, the complex world, and the ambiguous world. And children need to be told about it, not through their laptops, but through their head tops. The head top has to be reoriented and remastered for their learning, because the vocabulary they are going to be progressively using at their respective workplaces will be of their head tops, not the laptop. They won't be carrying their shared cloud spaces to deliver their skills. So let's work on our human intelligence, of course, through the artificial intelligence. The connect has to be through the teachers, mastering learning as a priority, as I said. And a teacher, is a learner forever. And for that reason, probably teachers belong to the profession, which is the most respected profession in the world. Next comes nursing. I know many teachers will Google it, but for sure, it's a real far-fetched reality. That's all from mine. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dhiraj. That was wonderful. I think the VUCA world is looming large on us. There's one of the wonderful books I read by David Gurin, Future Driven. It's a wonderful book. I think those of you who are listening to me, try to read this book, Future Driven. Will your students thrive in an unpredictable world? It's an amazing book. Please make a note of this title, Future Driven. Will your students thrive in an unpredictable world? The world is truly VUCA today. And I think, as Dhiraj sir said, it's high time we need to adapt and be agile and pick up where we are and do our best wherever we can. Learn and earn. Wow, those are wonderful words. Thank you, Dhiraj sir. Wonderful. Thank you. Hilary, the last question to you, Hilary. The question is, how can school leaders ensure their teachers are prepared and equipped to teach in this way? You spoke about inculcating the four, major skills that would come from all the other skills. But how do we prepare them? That's the key word, capacity building programs. How would you go about that, Hilary?
Yeah, and I think it does come down initially onto school leaders, and we all need to be developing a learning ethos in school. So that, and it's again very interesting that Dr. Dhiraj has just said exactly what I was going on to say, actually, that developing a learning ethos right from the teachers, before you even start looking at the students and the children, is really, really important. And I think it's the only way. I saw a couple of comments in the chat about changing mindset. Now, in order to develop a learning ethos and to change mindsets, there needs to be a focus on the learning, not the teaching. And I think far too many teachers who end up teaching and don't do a very good job, really, they focus on the teaching, they don't focus on the learning. So that's the number one mindset that we need to change. Focus on the learning, don't focus on the teaching. The second thing that we can do as school leaders is to provide all the opportunities for the teachers to learn and to reskill. And unless we give time, that isn't going to happen. And it's not just about sending people on courses or putting on courses in school. It's giving the time over and really valuing the teacher's self-learning. And if we can really encourage teachers to take their own initiative, to self-manage their own learning, and to get really interested in learning and reskilling. And that's down to us as school leaders to make sure that we're doing that. So there's lots and lots of opportunities to learn. And I think, you know, even the teachers who are as old as I am, sort of 30 years into the classroom, we need to show that we value the learning that they will do, but also what they can offer to other teachers who are younger in the profession. So providing opportunity and time for teachers to go and learn. And that might be attending courses. There's any amount of online free courses now. I think as school leaders and the senior leadership in staff, we should be quality assuring that training. So making sure that the teachers aren't wasting their time on the courses that they may be looking at. Making sure that we provide opportunities for teamwork and try and quite quickly move on to peer observation, rather than school leaders or the senior leaders in the school always doing the observations and the performance development. Try and get everybody involved in that as an equal partner. And, you know, I mean, I still do teach less than I want to, but I still do teach. But the people who should be supporting other teachers are the teachers, because you're doing it day in, day out.
Yes.
So providing opportunities for teachers to support teachers and to do that peer observation. And coming away from, I'm sure all of you do this, I'm speaking probably, we say in English, teaching grandmother to suck eggs. I made somebody laugh with that last week. But making sure that everybody is an equal partner in that. And again, when we're observing, looking at the learning, not looking at the teaching. Research and having teachers really understand the role of research and being a research-led practitioner.
Yes.
And that again is two ways. It's looking at the research that's out there. And one great resource is the Education Endowment Foundation, the EEF. If you can Google the EEF, you'll get a whole raft of research that's from all over the world. And the EEF have put it in a really nice table. And they've looked at the amount of money any type of intervention costs with how many months progress the children are likely to make. And they've looked at research across the globe for this. They also have done lots and lots of reports that will also help teachers pick on the things that are going to make the most difference when they make some changes to their teaching. So those reports are really worth looking at, and they've also put them down into very nice little posters, just as little ready reckoners that you can look at. So getting teachers to really engage with global research, but also researching in their own classroom. This, when it comes back to peer observation, So getting triads in place where a teacher can say, I want somebody to come and look, how am I using questioning in my classroom? And setting up little mini researchers in the classroom where the 2 other teachers will come in, they'll observe, but they'll look at collecting the data on a particular thing like questioning. Am I using Bloom's within my questioning? They then feed back the data to the teacher, who then takes it and makes changes based on that data. So it's not judgmental. It is about data, collecting data and using research to help to make the changes. Now, none of this can take place without school leaders developing trust. And if we are going to expect teachers to change, if we're going to expect them to step out of their comfort zone and do something different, we've got to develop a no blame culture. Because teachers are going to have to try out things that they've never done before. They're going to have to do things in a different way. And just as we wouldn't be cross with children if it goes wrong, we also shouldn't be cross with our teachers. We should be there to support and help and guide and give time, value what they're doing, encourage. What we shouldn't do is blame. And we've got to work really hard as school leaders to have a no blame culture within our school and to develop that trust that teachers can go and try something different. I think that is all I was going to say. So, I'll end back with take the straitjacket off the teachers, no blame, develop trust, give time, and really value the learning that the teachers do. Handing back to you, Santosh. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Hilary. So wonderful. Yes, Dhiraj, go ahead. Yes, you want to say something?
I want to add on to what Hilary rightly said, that dear teachers, if you rest, you rust. To be on a learning spree as a priority.
Yes. Very, very well said. You need to be always actively engaged, keep moving on and get yourself, always learning, as you said, leading for learning. Thank you. I think this evening we had a wonderful learning session from the 3 wonderful panelists. Let's give all of them a big applause. I think it's Dr. Sarvesh, Dr. Dhiraj and Hilary. Wonderful diverse views. We picked up a lot from y'all. I think we delved into how we can improve our our teaching practices, our teaching processes, not only in school but also digitally. And we also had the 21st century skills coming up to becoming how we can skill our generation of learners. I think we have covered a gamut of points, beautifully spoken. So I don't want to spend much time. I think you all deserve hats off to your sessions. It's time for question answers. But before I go for that, there will be a feedback link which Binimon will share. And may I request Radha Krishnan to kindly take up the next session. Radha, you are very quiet. I want you to take it up. Okay, I've been talking all this time. Come on, Radha, you go ahead. I want you to take it up. Go ahead.
What I should say now, it's amazing.
You take the Q&A session,
For the first time in
Radha.
Panchatantra Planet, what I can say is our sessions went to international standard.
Yes.
Because people like Dhiraj sir, Sarvesh sir, Hilary ma'am, and you, it's really amazing, wonderful. I can only say thanks at 10. And we want each of the panelists, for special sessions, because what you want to divulge to others cannot be restricted within half an hour or something. And
yes.
Coming up with such plans, we have such plans, we will be coming up with.
Yeah. Okay, Radha, there is a question which has come up. Any one of you can answer it. It is from Subrata Kundu. My question to you all experts, that in spite of so many policies, experiments, researches, still not a single Indian university is out of the top 300 world universities. Why? 70 lakhs BTech and no jobs, so many students going abroad. Where are we lagging behind? I really want an answer. I don't know if there's an answer to that, but the question is, I really want an answer. What shall we do? Any one of the panelists, please go ahead.
I'll say the data is open. So you have to prepare as an educator and march ahead and plan out that I am going to get a patent and I am going to get the Nobel for my students. So you need to work for that. So I think that's a positive reply to that notion. Instead of why, let's plan doing it.
Yes, Sarvesh.
Yes, I just wanted to say that, in schools, we prepare our students to be accepted in universities and the world around them. The universities are busy rejecting people. They're so preoccupied with rejecting that they've forgotten how to accept people. They don't know what to recognize in the students. And that is really where we've gone wrong. I don't think this gap was as blatant 40, 50, 60 years ago. It wasn't. It's been made so. And the fault lies in the policymakers, and it can be undone now. The NEP is a great opportunity to do that, is all I would say.
Yes, thank you. Hilary, any take on that, Hilary?
Yes, it's something that I found out last year, actually, and I was really surprised because in previous years, India has been topping the universities, and it's just really disappointing to see that has changed. And I think, looking at it, it's because other countries in the world have changed their view on what education is, particularly at the older end. And I think India is lagging in that. But hopefully with the NEP, if schools do take it on board and really do change the way that they operate, the universities have got to surely follow suit. They've got to, because, certainly in my school, we've just started the grade 11 for the first time, and not a single child, we've got 30 children with us, not a single child is aiming to go to an Indian university, not a single one. So I think the universities will have to change, because otherwise they are going to lose a huge amount of students that would have normally stayed in India. They're going to lose them to other countries.
Yes. Thank you, Hilary. Thank you very much. Thank you to all the panelists. Very well answered. My one question to all the panelists is, what can we do, as Sarvesh said, how can we bring in the love for humanities, which is lacking so badly today in our country? Everybody wants to do commerce. Everybody wants to do science. Why is it that we are not encouraging children to take up humanities? Is it because it's a mindset, or is it because there's a parental pressure, or is it because it's the need of the 21st century? Any one of you can please, throw some light on that.
I would say that it is pressure just created, whether it's by parents or the mindset, or only thinking about careers in certain areas.
Yes.
Those are careers, and the rest is a waste of time.
Yes.
We have forgotten to link the inner being of the human persona with a career. Pretty much like Indians, and I'm not being critical, being sarcastic, I'm just being honest. We have never developed the art of leisure. Indians don't know. The Americans and the Europeans and the Aussies know how to protect their leisure. We haven't even invented it. We think leisure is a waste of time.
Yes.
And so we've detached ourselves from the very essence of life. And universities have not helped us in that area.
Thank you, Sarvesh. Thank you. So nice, because there is a quota for meat, but there is no quota for humanities. Nobody wants to study history, geography, which are actually the heart of learning. Becoming, as you said, becoming better personalities, the overall development, being sensitive to something that is so much important. I think otherwise we'll all become robots. We will be producing more robots and mechanical, kids as they grow up.
Yeah,
so thank you.
Yeah, I just want to add that, I've interviewed a teacher for geography, not now, but some time ago. And the teacher had done a master's in geography. And when I asked, let's play a game and identify something in an atlas, the teacher started crying. And I said, what's happened? She said, I have never opened an atlas in my life.
Oh, God.
And had done a master's in geography. I think that captures it all.
Yes.
It just captures it all.
Yes, you're right. That reminded me of a very interesting anecdote, Sarvesh. A father and daughter were, having a chat, and, the father was reading something very important. He was very busy. And so he wanted to keep the daughter away, a small little baby who was troubling, and children want the attention of the parents. So he gave her a picture. He tore it into 4 or 5 pieces and said, "Come on, you this is a jigsaw puzzle for you. You please bring it back to peace quickly." So that little daughter, within 30, 15 seconds, she put that picture back. And the father said, "My God, you are a genius. What did you do?" And the daughter replied, I saw what was behind in the picture. It was a picture of a man. I got the man right, and that's why I got everything else right. So we need to get the man right at the moment. Education system, get the heart right. I'm sure we'll do things in a better way. Yeah, thank you. I think it's almost 5:53. I request Mrs. Helen Mary.
I think Dhiraj sir wanted to put up a point.
Yeah,
Yes,
I'll
yes,
take
sir.
a minute just to
Yes,
share
Dhiraj.
the way we have been teaching, as we can't be teaching the way we were taught. I
Yes.
recall an anecdote about the cap seller and the monkey. The grandson of the cap seller also became the cap seller. Unfortunately, fortunately, I don't know. He faced a similar scenario. And then out of the blue, he thought that, okay, he remembered his grandfather, threw his cap, when the monkeys took them away. And this time, no monkeys threw any cap. Instead, one came down, gave him a slap and said, "You only have a grandfather or what?" We can't be teaching the way we were taught. And that is ultimately, we are going to be redefining our attributes of teaching and learning.
Very true. Very true. Well said, Dhiraj. Wonderful. Yes, sir. I think any more questions? I think we are 5:54. I think it's time to wind up. I invite Mrs. Helen Mary, Vice Principal, Samasti International School, Kolur, Hyderabad, for expressing the vote of thanks. Over to you, Mrs. Helen Mary.
Thank you, sir. Just a thank you is a mighty powerful prayer. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
It's a great privilege, and indeed it gives me immense pleasure to thank our distinguished panelists, eminent school leaders and teachers. First and foremost, my heartfelt thanks to Dr. Sarvesh Naidu, the Executive Vice President of Trivandrum International Group of Schools, Kerala, who has been exceptional in putting forth these ideas and recommendations on NEP, teachers as catalyst. He gave us the clear-cut picture of why a teacher is called a catalyst and the need to keep the students as the center of learning. He also clearly insisted on why schools and universities should adapt the new changes. Thank you, sir. I'm sure that after this session, most of us would research on pedagogy. I spelled it right.
Yes.
Yeah. My big thanks to Dr. Dhiraj Moratra, an academic evangelist. I too love this terminology. Yes, he is a true evangelist.
Yes.
For his awakening messages for the teachers. I'm really impressed and touched by his ideas, keywords that he shared for teachers to be edutech-driven leaders, and loved the new acronym for WWW, sir. And your words on teachers to be learners and how important is learning to learn was thought-provoking. Thank you for giving us your enriching experience, sir. Special thanks to Mrs. Hilary Hinchliffe, Principal of GEMS Modern Academy, GEMS Education, Kochi, for giving explicit ideas on top 10 21st century skills on which teachers should focus so that students are future ready. She also threw light on different techniques to be followed by school leaders to ensure that their teachers are equipped with and prepared to impart 21st century skills. Thank you, ma'am, for your wonderful insight. My sincere thanks goes out to Mr. Santosh Kanawali, Principal, Subaya Central School, Tirupur, for setting a right pitch for the session and introducing the guests, and has been the seamless moderator of the session. You all agree with me. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
We must appreciate the efforts put in by the Board of Directors of Panchatantra in organizing today's session, which is the 26th session in their quest to achieve their vision of creating talented teaching communities. A big thank you to them. Thank you, Mr. Robinson and Mr. Abhilash, for being the team behind the screen and managing the technicalities of the session. Thank you for that. Finally, my sincere thanks to all the school leaders and principals and teachers for your valuable presence and for being the wonderful participants. You would agree with me that this was an interesting session for all of you. Thank you, everyone. With this, we come to the end of the session. A gentle reminder for all the participants to fill in the feedback form. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Great connecting with everyone. Thank you very much.
Yes. Thank you, Sarvesh. Thank you, Dhiraj.
Great seeing everyone, and look
Thank you,
forward
sir.
to many more lovely sessions. Great
Yes.
job, Panchtantra. Great job that you all are doing. Really.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Compliments to all of you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much, sir.
And Santosh, Hillary, Dhiraj, Radhakrishnan, and everyone else, everyone else in the team. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you
and
for joining
Thank you
us.
for those wonderful words, Helen. You captured it all beautifully at the end for all three of us.
Yes, absolutely right. Yes. Thank you, Sarvesh. Thank you, Hillary.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
It's
Bye-bye.
been fascinating, really interesting. I've enjoyed it very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hilary, ma'am. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.